What is going on? How's everybody doing? So we're back with another BYU video. It's been a little while, I know. Like I said, I've been very, very busy, and I said I was going to upload this like yesterday. I wasn't even able to film it. My schedule's all over the place right now. But anyways, we're back. We do have another BYU video on another commitment because the last commitment video that I did and the last BYU videos I did a while ago do very well. Plus, if you are already a BYU fan that has been watching me for a little bit now, you know that I'm a big supporter of the BYU Cougars. So I love to make content with them, or for them, not with them. And anyways, let's just dive straight into this commitment, not waste too much time. But as always, not going too in depth, but just want to give you some info on this player that I think you should know something about as he is now committed to BYU. So, anyways, let's hop straight into it. So, BYU, you just went out and you landed another Rex. Jaxson Rex, 6'1 athlete, 190, 6'1, 190 as an athlete from California. Um, anyway, Cougar fans, you know this name very well. You know that Rex last name very well. Jaxson Rex, he's a 2027 athlete from California, like I did say, who just committed to BYU after a big BYU recruiting weekend, which I'll have a video on the entire recruiting weekend out probably tomorrow, I would say. Tomorrow or day after. So be on the lookout for that. But anyways, he committed to BYU over schools like UCLA, Arizona, Boise State was in there, Washington State was in there, Oregon State was in there. He's recruited, or BYU's been recruiting him as a safety, even though he has played both sides of the ball when you do look at his high school tape. He's done a lot on the receiving side too, which we'll get into those stats and stuff later. But he is being recruited by BYU as a safety, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, like I said, you have a Rex family connection already. So Jaxson Rex, his nephew, or is the nephew of Byron Rex, cousin of Isaac Rex, cousin of Preston Rex. BYU fans know the name Byron Rex. And, he's a former BYU tight end, All American in the 1990s. Isaac Rex, former BYU tight end who became one of the most productive tight ends in the program history. He did set BYU's record for receiving touchdowns by tight end. I do believe, I could be wrong on that, but that was before graduating, obviously. And Preston Rex, current BYU player who is transitioning in from safety to running back, which I think a lot of you guys do know that story. And it's a guy that I think will be getting some more reps this year. But anyways, back to Jaxson Rex. So he's a safety that did play both sides of the ball in high school, like I did say. And he's a true two-way player. So I think once BYU gets him on campus, even though he was recruited as a safety, if they want to flip him around just like they did his brother, I think that's a very good possibility because I wouldn't say your wide receiver depth is thin. I wouldn't say that at all because you do have some pretty good receiving depth when you look at a lot of the freshmen coming in. But you did lose guys like Parker Kingston, which was big. He lost. I can't remember. I'm blanking, but I feel like there was something else. But anyways, your receiving depth is fine, but it can always use improvement as well. It's not really where you want it to be. But anyways, last season on offense, 63 receptions, 856 receiving yards, and 10 touchdowns. On defense, he had 68 tackles, 5 interceptions. And that just tells you what kind of athlete he is. He's not just a guy who can play safety. He's a guy who can play the offensive side of the ball as well, and he impacts games on both sides of the ball. He has really good ball skills as a safety. That's probably his biggest trait, I would say. 5 interceptions. As a high school defender, does show pretty good instincts, good route recognition, and good ability to track the ball. Like, he has confidence playing downhill, which I think a lot of these guys that BYU are recruiting have that trait. They all like to play downhill. I've kind of noticed that with BYU recruiting. They like those guys that play super aggressive downhill because that just translates better to the college level at times. But anyways, for a safety, BYU wants a guy who can make plays and not really just survive. And I think Jaxson Rex is that guy. But anyways, you have versatility, like I said, as well. BYU does love players who can do multiple things. When you look at a lot of their recruiting, a lot of them are just labeled as an athlete because a lot of them were two-way players in high school, which most top recruits are two-way players in high school. But BYU really goes for the more of the athletic types of guys who could play both sides of the ball at the next level as well. So BYU does like that versatility. But anyways, he has experience covering receivers. He has experience making plays in space, attacking the ball, making plays offensively, like I did say. And that just gives the coaching staff more options. Just like I said about his brother. Preston Rex, you see him, made the switch from safety to running back. And I think there's something like that you could possibly see here down the road. Say you get Jaxson Rex in, you recruited him as a safety, you bring him in as a safety, and then you're able to recruit some other safeties later down the road that you end up liking better. You could always throw Jaxson right at receiver because he'll do just fine there. Like, he was an incredible receiver in high school. But anyways, back to the defensive side of stuff. BYU's defense under Kalani Sitake, it's always really valued those aggressive safeties. Like I did say, good communication, good versatility, players who can really handle their space, and he fits that mold perfectly. You know, the modern Big 12 is more of a passing league, and you need safeties who can cover slot receivers, which he can. You need safeties who can defend deep shots, which he can, help against RPOs, which he can, tackle in space, which he can, and you know, he's just the perfect fit for this style of play that BYU likes to run on defense. Although it may switch up a little bit because you now have Kelly Papinga there, so we don't really know exactly how it's going to look. We have ideas, but we don't know exactly how that's going to look. But anyways, BYU's recruitment, this is good because it shows that they're winning their relationships. The Rex family has also seen the BYU development, BYU culture, BYU players becoming leaders, and that really matters because you see the commitments keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. And you see that family tree keep building, and you're seeing it with more and more players as well. You got a pipeline coming, and it's a good thing for BYU, and I think this is a great pickup for him. You also did just land another commitment, so be on the lookout for that video. I have like 2 or 3 more BYU videos coming up because there's another commitment that I had to go over, and then obviously the entire recruiting day, or the recruiting weekend, I'm sorry. But anyways, yeah, that's it on Jaxson Rex. Like I said, just wanted to give you some little pointers, or not pointers, but some little bits and pieces that you should know. But anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, then I greatly appreciate it if you did consider subscribing to the channel, especially if you're a BYU fan, because BYU fans, you know, I like to pump out the BYU content, and now we're back. We're uploading pretty frequently again, so be on the lookout for that, and I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Also, before we do go, the NBA draft's tonight, so comment down below where you think AJ DeBonsta's going. AJ going 1? Anyways, I'll catch you.